Hey everyone, welcome to PhoneArena's in-depth video review of the LG View Plus GR700. It's available right now through AT&T and has a contract price of $149.99. Even though its name has a lot in common with the LG View, which was released a couple years back, it actually has a lot more similarities with the LG Xenon released last year. This device sports a physical slide-out keyboard, also a touchscreen, so we'll see if it's a worthy upgrade to the LG View. When you compare this handset to the LG's View and even the Xenon, this one has actually a modern-looking design. We definitely like its choice of materials. Even though it might be plastic, it feels a lot more durable than what was found on the Xenon, even the View. It has a gunmetal colors, which contrast nicely with the subtle chrome trim around the touchscreen. It's normal size and not that heavy at all. Feels fairly good in the hand, and it's pretty well constructed overall. Unfortunately, we're presented with the same size screen at 3-inch. It has a resolution of 240 by 400 and support for 262,000 colors. However, though, it's worth noting that this is a capacitive touchscreen versus the resistive one found on the other two handsets, the Xenon and the View. So it definitely feels a lot more responsive. And when you sit outdoors, even though colors might look a little bit washed out, it's pretty usable. Right below it, you have your physical hardware buttons. You got your send and key, the back and clear, which is pretty good touch to them. On the left-hand side, you have your decently sized volume rocker, your task menu. On the right side, you have a shutter key, a lock-unlock, and your micro SD card slot, which is good. Just it gives you quick access to it. On top, you have just the micro USB port. Unfortunately, there's no 3.5mm headset jack, so you're going to have to do everything through there. And in the back, you have just the 3 megapixel autofocus camera with flash, speakerphone, and when you remove the back cover, it just gives you access to the battery and also SIM card slot. We actually enjoy the landscape sliding QWERTY keyboard on the View Plus. It has a really nice sliding mechanism. It'll present you with a 4-row QWERTY keyboard. They're flush to the surface, no spacing in between, they're rectangular in shape, so people with larger fingers might have an issue with this, but we found it to be pretty good just because it had a really good tactile feel and response to them. On the left-hand side, we also like the fact it has some quick access functions and also the inclusion of the directional keys. Easily the biggest eyesore to the handset has to be its outdated interface, which is actually the same one used on the Xenon and has some elements found from the View. You're presented with 3 home screens. On the leftmost, you have ones for your contacts. On the middle, you have ones for your widgets, and as you can tell, it took a little bit of a long time for them to load up. Scrolling is also not the best, it's kind of slow. And on the right side, you have also ones for your shortcuts for some applications. At the bottom, you're presented with 4 icons to get you into some of the functions of the phone, such as the phone dialer, one for your contacts, messaging, and of course the main menu. Granted, though it looks outdated, it's straightforward and easy to use. The messaging experience on the View Plus is pretty good. You're presented with some on-screen functions here. As you can tell, the keypad, when you have T9 enabled, it is fairly responsive and very quick. As always, you'll always have the option to use the physical QWERTY, which is also a decent experience. The web browsing experience is pretty acceptable, especially when you have Opera Mini on board, just because it gives you a pretty good mobile experience. Our website didn't take too long for it to load, thankfully. It's rendered also to fit the length of the screen, so text is automatically reflowed, and scrolling is pretty good, so the overall experience should be more than satisfying. The music player in the LG View Plus is a typical looking one, as they'll present you the album cover, track information, even on-screen functions. But you can change it up a little bit by choosing your visualization. There's 3 options, and it just gives it slightly better appeal. When it came down to the volume from the speaker, it managed to produce some good tones, but had a tendency to slightly crackle at the highest volume. There wasn't too much of an issue playing videos on the LG View Plus. The one we have loaded here is an MPEG 4 320 by 240 resolution. Although it's kind of low quality, it still manages to play fairly well, especially in portrait. When I switch it over to landscape, it's pretty quick, and as you can tell, it's still not having any lagginess or any stutter issues. The camera on the LG View Plus is an upgrade versus the one found in the View and even Xenon. It boasts a 3 megapixel autofocus camera versus a 2 megapixel one. So taking photos, you just press down the shutter key slightly to focus and then press it all the way to take the shot. Outdoor quality, though, it had pretty good detail, but colors were a little bit soft. They didn't have that saturated look. Indoors, so with the flash, it didn't do that great of a job as it was still kind of fuzzy. So if you like your videos pixelated and kind of choppy, then probably this might be a perfect fit for you, but to tell you the truth, it's not a satisfying experience. First of all, you're only limited to QVGA resolution, and as you can tell, it's pretty pixelated when you're playing it back, and on top of that, there's plenty of lagginess and choppiness to the video itself. Calling quality in the LG View Plus is rather good just because there wasn't any evidence of background noise or static on our end through the earpiece, and voices sounded pretty good and natural on both ends. Unfortunately though, when we switched over to using the speakerphone, it did produce some muffled sounding voices and even crackled at the loudest volume setting. Battery life, we managed to get approximately 5.5 hours of talk time when the manufacturer has it rated for 3 hours, so it does pretty good in that regard. And overall, the connection to the network was pretty solid, no issues whatsoever. The biggest Achilles heel to the LG View Plus is its overbloated price of $149.99 on contract. When you think about it, you might even jump up to a smartphone to get a little bit better services and even offerings out of it. But we do like the fact that it sports a pretty good design versus the View and also the Xenon, a little bit more modern looking. But when you look deeper down into its software and platform, it is very outdated and shows its age versus some of the competition. But if you're able to swallow some of those shortcomings, even the price tag, which is the hardest thing to overcome, you might be satisfied with this handset. So if you'd like to learn more about the LG View Plus, or for all the latest cell phone reviews, news, specs, and information, you can check us out at PhoneArena.com.